Right, y'all, welcome to the Common Arms channel. Okay, so if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you probably know that I have reviewed a lot of plate carriers on the channel. I don't know if I've actually done a dedicated review of the Army's last plate carrier, at least like one of the older plate carriers, because we've actually gone through a lot of different kind of small iterations, but different plate carrier renditions, even over the last 8 years that I've been in the Army specifically. But this one is the Modular Scalable Vest, or the MSV. And I gotta say, coming here to Hawaii, I didn't really know that the 25th Infantry Division was giving away like nice plate carriers like this. But I mean, the last time I was issued a plate carrier was probably back in like 2017 with 3rd Brigade, 10th Mountain, so not really the real 10th Mountain Division. So it makes sense that we weren't really getting the best stuff. 25th Infantry Division being here in Hawaii, especially so close to the Pacific, the Indo-Pacific theater, it makes sense that they're going to be getting better funding than we did at 3rd Brigade, 10th Mountain, which I'm all for. I love to see it. I love seeing like nice pieces of gear being given out to the troops, and not just the infantrymen. Obviously, I'm a Pogue now, and I'm getting this nice vest. So I want to kind of give like a overview. It's not going to be quite as in-depth just because commercially there's a lot more that's easy to find when it comes to other plate carriers that I've reviewed, as far as kind of like what they're made out of and like a lot of the selling points. But when we're talking about this, it's the Army's plate carrier, so they're not really advertising a lot of those kind of like different features. There are some things I was able to kind of find online. Most of it's pretty self-explanatory, so we're just kind of going to go more about like a face value of what the vest is, why it's so cool. I mean, I've heard modular plenty of times in the military, and usually it meant f*** all, because you could say it's modular, like, oh, I can throw a pouch on here. Coming from like the interceptor vest that I wore when I first came in to something like this, even like any sort of old plate carrier that had like, Molly or the PALS kind of slots all over. And then kind of moving forward, I think with it was the NTV or the IMTV or something. It was like a modular tactical vest, I think it is what it was. It was a plate carrier, but compared to something like this, I mean, when you're talking about modular, this thing really takes modularity to the next level, and I'm kind of excited to talk about that aspect. So what's different between this and the old Army IOTV? Individual something tactical vest, I think. I'll put the acronym up here. Well, as you guys know, if you've seen any of my other plate carrier reviews, that thing was atrocious. It was basically, it's like wearing a turtle shell. So like, yeah, it might give you some pretty good protection with like the soft armor and the plates and stuff inside of it. But the cut on it was just terrible. There was no mobility in that thing whatsoever. Very, very heavy. Very just kind of like, especially if you had an older one, just got kind of like lumpy. And yeah, it was just, you're kind of like you're fighting it to do really anything. So having something like this, you can already kind of see like the cut on this is much more considerate of what somebody actually needs when they're, just doing anything really, especially when you're talking about manipulating a firearm or any kind of weapon system. It's nice to have that mobility, especially when you're talking about moving to different positions or reloading, things of that nature. But just in general, having something like this, getting inside of a vehicle, kind of moving around, especially if you have to wear it for a long kind of period of time, moving through doorways, especially if you need to be doing anything like that. It's nice to have something that's more streamlined, and that mobility, that just additional airflow. I mean, when you have something that's like a turtle shell, it really traps in the heat and you just feel terrible. But when you have something that's cut for mobility, you have like something like this, like the laser cuts here in the front and the back. It's nice having stuff like that because it reduces the weight. It helps with reducing layers, because for whatever reason, and this is something that took a long time for the tactical industry to like learn, is as opposed to adding more material and adding more layers to get these like, attachment points, you could just cut it into the material itself. As long as you have a durable enough material, you could do that. So it took a while for the tactical industry to catch on to that, but having something like this is just a lot more user-friendly, and yeah, you're not going to be fighting this nearly as much. So I'll kind of go over the general features of what it is and why it's so modular, and then I'll start moving more into like the kind of more finer details, and then kind of comparing it with other plate carriers. So modular. What does that mean? Modular means you can kind of change it up a lot. You can change it for whatever kind of mission you need it for. As of right now, if you're looking at it, like, I don't really understand how modular it could be compared to other plate carriers. Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, you have the front plate bag, you have the back plate bag, you have your cumberbuns, and then it can accept the side ballistic inserts as well. So really nothing too groundbreaking there. So that alone really isn't going to separate it from other plate carriers. Now, this comes with basically a concealable vest. So this is essentially the soft armor portion of this. So when you get this plate carrier, you basically get this soft armor inside of the plate carrier itself. However, as you can see, the soft armor works as a standalone kind of concealable vest, which is really pretty cool. It's a pretty cool idea. I mean, and essentially what you have here is like, nothing, it's like a Faro Concepts Slickster. It's a minimalist plate carrier, and we've already reviewed a lot of those on the channel, so I can kind of review this portion separately on its own if I wanted to. So that's pretty cool to be able to have like this random kind of soft armor, which would essentially just be soft armor. Now you can use it as kind of a concealable vest, depending on what unit you're assigned to. That might be pretty useful. I mean, coming from counterintelligence, there are a lot of sort of situations and circumstances where it would have been nice to have been issued some concealable vest or like a kind of soft armor like this. But it's not just the kind of soft armor concealable vest. As you can see, there's no openings on the bottom, but you do have these zippers. So if you wanted to, you could still put plates in this and turn it into a minimalist plate carrier, which is really cool. So you can kind of see the soft armor right there. So also, if you need to, you can replace the soft armor. So if your vest, or at least the soft armor specifically, did take some damage, you can just take that out, swap it out, without completely changing out this entire vest portion. But yeah, so that's the back there, and then, that was the front, and then here on the back, again, same kind of thing. You got the zipper, you got the soft armor right there, and then if you really wanted to, you could also throw some plates in there. Now I will say you have like this kind of portion, which if you have the plate, you can kind of push it in there, and then it could kind of secure it in a way. There's not a whole lot that's really keeping it from moving side to side. So maybe if you had smaller plates, or for whatever reason like steel plates even, those just have kind of like a slightly smaller profile. So those might move around a little bit, but at least just having something like this, realistically speaking, this is going to do a pretty good job of holding that plate in place. It just depends on how much give you have, depending on the Velcro and the size of the plate itself. But again, this is a minimalist plate carrier. It's not meant to be carrying a bunch of weight and comms and ammunition and whatnot. So it's not really like a full mission kind of setup. You could use it kind of more as like a more lightweight thing. However, when you're talking about worrying about that plate moving around so much, you have other things to worry about if you're kind of relying on this to be your primary body armor setup. But again, it's pretty cool to have something like this. You have the concealable soft armor portion, but then you can use it as that minimalist plate carrier. So you can see here you have the attachment points. So if you want to have like a kind of like a hanging placard, you can do that. Now you can see you do have kind of Velcro. I'm not really sure if your placard kind of really relies on the Velcro portion. Maybe you would have to kind of just like, I don't know, figure out some way to attach it. But it is nice to be able to just have this, so you can have a placard that at least just hangs kind of there. On the back, you don't have that. You will see some minimalist plate carriers that have that, but again, this thing is so modular, it's not really meant to be perfect at any one thing. And you can kind of see on the cummerbuns, you do have those laser cut slots for the molly or the pals or whatnot, so you can actually attach those magazine pouches or whatever you want to add to the cummerbund. And of course, it seems like they kind of thought of everything. If you need to adjust it, pretty easy adjustments, very similar to the kind of Faro Concepts Slickster, except you're not like sticking in one side into the other. It's all adjusted like this. You just bring it down if you need to, bring it up if you need to. and then attach it. And I will say, for all of this, the Velcro that they used, like at least the male end, I guess if you want to call it, it's really low profile. It's not like the really loud kind of, I don't know, abrasive. There's really no positive words to use with it, but it's really kind of low profile. I mean, even if you kind of like drag your fingers across it, it's not like snagging or anything. I've noticed having kind of like the more low profile Velcro like this, it still holds really well. Like you don't really have to worry about that. But at the same time, it's not like snagging on things. It's not rubbing things as abrasively. It's not picking up like sticks and twigs and stuff like sometimes it would. So it is kind of nice for all the Velcro in this system to be kind of like that low profile Velcro. Everything is like really kind of nice and streamlined, which is awesome. Especially like the Velcro right here. Sometimes if you have like just even like the older one, it got a little bit kind of, it stood off of the vest a little bit more. And I did notice at times that would even start like, you know, abrading my chin if I was just like chilling for too long. But here, kind of throwing this on so you can kind of see what it looks like. So we got the cummerbund. Really not a whole lot of rigidity to the cummerbund, which as you can expect with a minimalist kind of plate carrier option. But there you go, you just attach the Velcro there, and then you can kind of tuck this away nice and clean. So I mean, yeah, it's by itself as like a standalone kind of concealable vest or minimalist plate carrier. This thing, I gotta say, is super comfortable. Like, I feel no restriction whatsoever. And of course, I'm not like wearing plates and whatnot where, you know, it kind of holds it onto your body a certain way and you kind of feel some of those edges a little bit more. But like this, the cummerbund is nice. You know, it's narrow enough. It's not like too thick height-wise to where it starts like abrading your hips or your armpits. So everything looks like they actually did some testing in this thing, which is awesome. Compared to the old IOTV and the old like UCP pattern camo, it's like those are like the match made in heaven of not trying to test that thing whatsoever. But this, yeah, I gotta say, I don't really have a whole lot of gripes for it. I mean, yeah, would it be cool to maybe have like some of the laser cuts here? Sure, maybe having like a little bit of that minimalist kind of like Velcro on here, sure, but again, like this thing is so modular and it's every kind of role or aspect kind of has its own niche. So it's just nice to have the options and to have options that work pretty nice. It's not like the bare minimum by any means. And I mean, like all the materials, as you can well imagine, all the materials are pretty nice in general. Like everything just feels really like the stitching is on point. It's not like just excessive stitching just because they know the quality of the material isn't very good. I mean, even the threading is like really high quality. Everything looks like it's built to last for a while, which as you could expect with Army equipment, you kind of want that built to last for a while because, I mean, I'm the first one to get this, but I mean, you can well imagine having invested this much money in this kind of system. I mean, here in like 15, 20 years, there's going to be some, you know, potentially private or PFC or, you know, maybe even like a colonel or something getting the same kind of vest. Probably not a colonel. They're probably going to get the newer stuff anyway. So talking about the actual vest portion itself, or the plate carrier portion itself. So as far as adjusting the straps, we'll do kind of like a top down real quick. You can, again, it's that nice Velcro, even like nicer on this for whatever reason. So you can just open that part up and you can see it folds away from the neck, which is awesome because these edges are away from the neck and not folding in towards you where they're going to start slicing up your neck or poking you or anything. So you can see that just opens up like this, and then you can just pull that. You have kind of this buckle here in the back, so you would just pull as much slack out as you need there, and then you can kind of adjust the ride height like that. But it is nice for this to have the clips as well, because I will say, like, I mean, I've used a lot of different plate carriers, and I'm generally preferable to clips. I will say it is nice to have the option to take these clips off and just have like a material, at least on the shooting side, because sometimes this might interfere with, you know, like your Stockwell or what have you. I haven't seen that so much with this, just with how the straps themselves are oriented. But it is nice to have that option. And I will say these clips are a little thick. I mean, they're beefy, they're tough, they're kind of built to last, so it makes sense. But it is nice to kind of have that, because I mean, when it's just like a miserable day, or you've just been like in the field, you've been training, you're on deployment, you've been out all day on patrol or something, it's nice to be able to just like satisfyingly clip this, and like maybe just clip this and just like drop your body armor off to one side. And just, of course, when you're talking about emergency situations, it's nice to be able to just kind of like have these more tactile things to unclick quickly, so you're not trying to like throw your entire plate carrier off your body, especially when we're talking about, you know, if you fall into the water, more kind of on the Marine Corps side, but if you fall into the water, to be able to just kind of quickly detach things, so you're not trying to pull things over your head, because it's not really going to work out too well when you're sinking in the water. Now, with Army plate carriers, military plate carriers, same kind of thing with the Marine Corps, you have this pull tab right here, and this is connected. You can't really see it too well, but you have some cable right here attached to that part, and then you have some cable down here attached to this part. So you can kind of see that tip is where the cable itself is connecting to. So if you pulled this, those tips would basically collapse, and then these would detach, and then these would detach. So basically your front end would just fall off of you. So having that as like even more of like a kind of quick egress is a nice option, and the tab itself isn't really in the way. I mean, it's very tactile as well if you need to find it, and you can kind of see it there tucked behind the rank itself, which is, I mean, it's a nice feature to have, especially in the military. You never know when that's going to be helpful. Again, falling in water, or for whatever reason, if you find yourself kind of more in like a trapped vehicle or a trapped building, and you're trying to get through like a tight space, or you're just trying to get these layers off of you, it's nice to have that option as well. Now you can see all down the fronts you have that laser cut material for like the MOLLE, the PALs, for all the attachments. If you want to have like your cool guy phone attachment, you want to have magazine pouches right there, you got all of that. And on the back you also have all of those laser cuts, and they were very, very generous with all of these. I mean, there's so many things you can fit on here, it's crazy. You have your kind of pull tab here in the back. You know, if your buddy's kind of in the shit, you can kind of use that, grab him, pull him off of the X and whatnot. So cool. I mean, again, kind of like an essential feature that you look for in a plate carrier, because trying to grab somebody's shoulder straps, you can do that too, but it is nice to have something like this. A little bit more comfortable for the person who's wearing the armor out, I will say that much. Now, moving more to the Cumberbuns, again, you have very generous amounts of those kind of laser cuts here in the side, and then you have your adjustment here. So you have, which is nice, it's nice to have this kind of tab here, which kind of like self-velcros to itself. It's all like self-enclosed, so you don't need to have like additional tape to tape it up or anything annoying like that. So, especially when you're talking about returning the gear, if you have, God forbid, you have like electrical tape or duct tape adhesive on that, they're going to kick you back super fast. So it is nice to have kind of its own self-contained thing. So adjusting your cummerbund is super easy right there. You can also, if you so choose, you can also kind of adjust it just by moving the Velcro itself around, because you have that Velcro here in the back, so you can just slide these cummerbunds over if you want, and then you're good to go. This thing is like a puzzle, honestly. So many features. And then you can see here, obviously, we have the pouch for our enhanced side ballistic inserts, so your side sappy plates. Now I'm going to take this off, because I will say moving this vest around is a pain in the butts with these side plates on. But with these, you can see the strap here. A lot of times with the older pouches, they'll have like those snap button metal things which get bent, or they get shit in them and it's impossible to click it in, or it doesn't stay clicked, or you know, when there's cold weather it starts to like fail and stuff. it is nice to just have this tab that kind of gets tucked away, and it holds fine. I mean, if you weave it properly through the laser cuts, you're not going to have any issues there whatsoever. All right, now kind of opening the vest here. So you can see you have padding here in the lower back, really nice padding, I will say that. And then you have padding kind of by the deltoids, and I guess also by the pectorals here. So you can see here, this is a little bit different. It's kind of just got like the sides on the bottom. So kind of nice channels for airflow, nice padding as well. You know, if you hit your armor on something, or if you do take impact, you kind of have that as like a trauma pad, but also it just keeps kind of like the rest of the armor offset from your body. So you do have these channels to have a little bit more airflow as well. Now, I will say it would be nice to have kind of mesh, generally speaking, just to allow a little bit more airflow. But again, we're talking about military issued equipment. When you're talking about mesh, that isn't going to hold up as well. Obviously, it's just like a solid nylon material. So it makes sense that the military isn't going to opt to do something like that. All right, so how does it actually fit? So, and again, there's no soft armor here. All the soft armor is in like that concealable minimalist plate carrier vest on the ground right there. We do have our SAPI plates, which is, you can see here, you got the zipper. So that's how you kind of get access to the portion where you can put the plates in. Nothing too special about that. I mean, the plates are not going to move around. This is a medium vest with medium plates, so it's kind of all well, you know, tailored for each other. We'll move this table. I think we're kind of done with that. So again, I would be securing these, but once the cummerbund is nice and tight, I mean, this thing, the mobility is just awesome. My light is kind of twitching out there a little bit. I mean, definitely a very comfortable plate carrier setup. I mean, I know it's light right now, especially since there's like nothing on it. But again, like when you're talking about the straps themselves, they kind of have like that angle to them, so they're not like destroying your neck. They're not like resting too much like on your traps. It's kind of like a good in-between right there with the shoulders. So it rests good. You can see here you kind of have this curve here that's kind of cut out, as opposed to just having it more blocky like the old IOTVs, or kind of just like rounded out. You have more mobility for kind of moving in the front. So doing like something like this, even doing this, I have like no kind of restriction whatsoever, where even just like a lot of other plate carriers, not just the IOTV, that's going to be pretty hard to do. So just having that much mobility is awesome. Same kind of thing going backwards. If I need to reach something, I mean, whatever, my mobility is kind of trash anyway, but if I need to reach something like a breaching tool, I can do that. If somebody's handing me something out of my pack, if I have a pack on the back, I can do that. So yeah, I will say it's, right now, even with like the ESAPs in, this thing is insanely light. And I'm actually going to weigh it here in a little bit. But this is, I think it's 5 pounds lighter than the old IOTV, which 5 pounds is huge when you're talking about just like shedding weight off of your body, especially when it comes to all the other stuff that's going to be on you. I mean, you can add weight so easily. So even like shedding 5 pounds off of the vest itself, that means you can potentially carry more stuff, or again, just lighten the load. I mean, as an infantryman, if I could have just lightened the load from stuff that didn't need to be as heavy, like awesome. I mean, ammunition, whatever, there's not a whole lot you can do about that besides changing the ammunition out itself. I mean, having a full combat load, I can, maybe change the magazine out. That magazine might be, as opposed to having a steel magazine versus like a Magpul P-Mag, that's something to consider, but I always kind of want to still have like a full combat load. So to be able to kind of shed weights in other places is always going to be awesome. Okay, so I'm going to weigh myself and see what it is. Okay, so with the vest, I'm at 191.8, so 192, which, oh my gosh, that's how light this thing is with the SAPI plates? That's insane. Because I know how much I weigh, generally speaking. All right, let's see what we are without it. 181.4, so that's crazy. So the vest itself is about 11 pounds, which again, when you're talking about the sappy plates themselves, I think those are like 4.5 pounds each, maybe 5 pounds each, depending on the size. I mean, that's 9 pounds right there. So the vest itself, just the materials, being roughly like whatever 2 to 3 pounds, is pretty solid. Golly, that's kind of blowing my mind. That's so light. I mean, again, it has nothing on it, so that's kind of what I'm comparing it to, but that's awesome. All right, so kind of seeing, let me do this real quick. So we got the vest. I want to see how it works with pistol belts, because I've kind of tried it before, but not like a whole lot. And then we'll do like a quick comparison. So I have my Agilite K5, the one that's kind of set up. It's been kind of like my setup, my Army setup for the last 5 years. Yeah, about 5 years. Dang. Well, I don't have a holster or anything on this one. That's a little loose, but yeah. I mean, you can see it works. I mean, it's gonna work fine if it's. If I need to use my dump pouch, I can still do that. It's just fine. No issues with grabbing anything. If I had a pistol, yeah, I might have a little bit of issue. Obviously, this cummerbund, it's still loose because I didn't adjust it, so it would be a little bit tighter. So with that, especially with the holster kind of sticking out, I don't think I'd really have any issues with that. But okay, now let's do a little comparison, pretty brief one, since this video is already kind of going on for a while, of kind of comparing it with the Agilite K5. Again, just so nice to do this. So, I mean, very different kind of features when you're talking about this. So you can see here, kind of by comparing those now, you have, although it's easily adjustable, you do have a lot more kind of like angles and potential things snagging or just kind of getting uncomfortable. This still kind of also folds away from the neck, which is nice. I don't really have an issue with discomfort with the K5 really at all with the shoulder straps, but you can see here it is kind of a little bit less kind of streamlined. At least there's nothing really covering what you would have here, because it's generally the same kind of mechanisms. You can see here it's got kind of more of the bulky Velcro and kind of bulkier materials, but all the mechanisms themselves are the same, but the MSV kind of has that covering, so kind of reduces snag and whatnot. Now this does have an admin kind of kangaroo pouch here. You have the Velcro, which you don't have as much on the MSV, really not that important. In the Army you can't really put on your plate carrier anyway besides your rank. I will say this, you know, you have kind of more skeletonized cummerbund here, but the Army, I mean, they just want kind of protection in every aspect. So the cummerbund is going to stay like that because they kind of just want like that structure. You can add the side sappies to this and it works fine. So I will say I do like this kind of cummerbund setup, but kind of to each his own. Having a little bit more protection and rigidity, whatever, I understand it. But I will say I'm generally more preferable to having kind of more airflow and slightly more mobility. The side sappy plates are going to pretty much stay where they need to anyway. Now you will see it's got the mesh on the inside as opposed to the MSV. So this is an easier way of doing it. Velcro, not as much Velcro. We kind of talked about that. This is all laser cuts. The K5, no laser cuts. You're having extra material, which means extra weight. That extra weight will add up significantly, not just in the material, but also the stitching itself. Just adding those layers, it's nice having the laser cuts when you can. Cummerbund, again, you have a little bit more kind of rigidity, kind of stability, structure here, if you will, as opposed to kind of like more of the skeletonized Agilite one. Talking about the straps themselves, again, you can kind of see side profile. I mean, you maybe have like 1.25 inches kind of height here. Oh, it's hard to say. Maybe like 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches of just like, yeah, maybe 1.5 inches of just kind of more, slightly more bulky on the K5. So again, that Velcro, the materials, you can get it pretty streamlined, and then you can also just have this nice cover, which kind of keeps everything compressed, kind of keeps it in place. And again, here on the back, you're not having any of those kind of like laser cut moly as opposed to the MSV where you have all of that. And then the mesh versus the no mesh on the inside. Again, the mesh, it's nice to have, helps with that airflow, gets that cushioning still there. However, for long-term durability, I've seen the mesh fail in a lot of plate carriers, specifically like Faro Concepts, the Slickster, I mean, my mesh got pretty worn out, but yeah, the mesh is it's gonna wear out pretty quick. Much quicker than like just not having it. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not really a whole lot more to say about it. My thoughts of it, holy cow. I did not think the Army or the US military, I mean the Marine Corps is a little bit better. I did not think the Army could have this much common sense with gear. Not just common sense, but like I can tell there was some thought, there was some research, there was some actual testing with this plate carrier, which is awesome. I mean, when you're talking about giving gear to the infantrymen or just, again, just the troops, you need to have some testing, some research. You need to have people who actually give a shit and know what they're talking about when they're trying to give this equipment out, especially newer equipment, and investing the taxpayers' money, you know, the U.S. citizens, taking their tax dollars and putting that into new gear. I've seen it. Oh my gosh, the fraud, waste, and abuse has been insane. Specifically talking about the Sig Sauer pistol and the UCP pattern, camouflage pattern. I don't know what's going on with it. This is definitely a success story, which is awesome to see. Really, really encouraging. When we're talking about kind of moving more into the focus of peer-to-peer warfare, having gear that's on par, actually finally on par with what you can get on the civilian sector, it's awesome to see. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys have used the IOTV and this MSV, or if you just have used the MSV now, let me know your thoughts on it, or if you were able to just get your hands on it, because I have a lot of thoughts, generally pretty freaking positive. It's awesome to see. So if you guys have used the IOTV or other plate carriers and you've used this, let me know your thoughts on it down in the comment section, especially if you've been in the Army for a while and you can kind of see all those adaptations of vests that the Army used. But yeah, awesome to see. Really, really happy to have this now, because I mean, if my commander does tell me like, hey, you need to use the Army issued stuff, I'm going to be a little bit upset, I will say. You know, cool. I'm going to set it up right, at least. You know, some people still struggle to set it up, but that's just kind of on experience and knowledgeability and really what you need. If you're not really going to the field or doing anything, you can kind of just yeet shit onto your plate carrier and it's fine. But yeah, I would actually be totally fine using this thing if I had to. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Army's new MSV. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. But that is it for this video. I will see y'all in the next one.